Welcome to Color Me Crazy, a podcast where we dive into creativity and the art world. I'm your host, Akai, a multidisciplinary artist, and today we have a special guest. I'm sitting down with an incredible creator whose work transcends boundaries and emotions. She's a Ukrainian-born, Berlin-based artist known for her figurative impressionism. The talented Olha Sharafanenko. Olha's art explores human emotion, identity, and the power of the human form in the most amazing and profound ways. We're going to dive into her creative process, her journey as an artist, and how she channels raw emotions into her paintings. Olha, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I'm very, very happy to see you. It's been a while since we saw each other last time, so I'm very excited to talk today.
Yes, definitely. So a little bit of background. Olha and me, we were together in the residency in Berlin, and it's just amazing how we, after, 2 years, we have been still in contact. So go to art residencies. We're going to dive into some of that. Why is it so important for an artist to go to art residencies? So first of all, tell us a little bit about your story. You're from Ukraine, tell us, how did you end up in Berlin? All these things.
So, first of all, I graduated from National Academy of Fine Arts and Architecture in Kyiv, specialization of easel painting, like fine art, and mostly I was focused on figurative painting. In Ukraine, we have a very academic art school, university, and that's of course influenced on me so much. As you know, since it's already 3 years since the full-scale war happened in Ukraine, and still happens. So all in all, I had to leave the country and a little bit to think about myself and think about my safety. And very spontaneously, I came to Berlin. It was a very long story because I was for about 2 or 3 months in Ukraine, and then I saw one open call to arts residency in Berlin. I felt like I have nothing to lose, and I just applied and somehow won this special place in arts residency. Yeah, probably it was a phase of I had to come here, and a lot of people ask me why Berlin, and I always answer I haven't choose Berlin at all. It was just Berlin has chosen me, kind of. So yeah, I'm here already 2 years and a half, and before that I was in Italy. Had a couple of exhibitions there, also participated in a small art residency, after which I came to Berlin.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how do you find Berlin compared to other cities in Europe? They say Berlin, it's the artist hub, where everybody, there's so much art even on the street, it's crazy.
First, of course, when I came here, I had a kind of a cultural shock, that's for sure, because that's completely another art scene if to compare with Ukraine, and even if compare with Italy, where I had a little bit experience. So yeah, after this 1 month residency in Berlin, I realized no, probably it's not time to come back to Ukraine or in another places. I feel like I have a lot of power and a lot of knowledge which I would like to have from this place, which I would like to collect, understand, and just implement into my art. So yeah, it's kind of a very inspiring place, full of everything, and at the same time, it's kind of a place where you can be very easily lost in all the senses, but still the varieties of different experience and styles, people. That's of course a very nice place, space, everything for artists.
Yeah, the concrete jungle for our artists, definitely. And I love how, talking a bit about your work and your style. I love how you do your style it's figurative impressionism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love how it combines like emotional depth with the human form. And what is it about this style that resonates with you so deeply? And how would you describe it, your approach towards it?
When I was studying, I had to work on every painting for a quite long time. It took us 1 month to finish one figurative painting because we were working with models mostly, and for me it was very exhausted. Like, I like just find this inner vision, inner feeling to the work, to my composition and so on, and just start implementing it immediately with no thinking, just through the emotions. Of course, I used to work like this for a long, working very, very long on some paintings, but then I realized that it doesn't work for me at all. I realized that the best paintings which I made it just in the 2 hours because this first fresh view helps me really a lot. That's why I started to trust myself, trust to my hands, which just show what is going on inside, and started to really trust the process. If it's a fast painting, okay, it's fast painting. If I should think a little bit longer, I will think a little bit longer. But this first experience, first view, it's very important for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I love how, like, I don't know, like your creative process, it's very, yeah, like intuitive, right? Like you really connect with what you have inside and then just like express it.
It's
And
kind of yes, but at the same time, I really need to find the right words, what I want to express. So
yeah,
every work, I start from a sketch plus kind of text for understanding this inner feelings. And only after that, when I found these words, and in general, I find words as a symbols. So after that, I just start painting.
yeah, so beautiful. Um, and I love also like the use of colors, like your color palette, the textures. It's just incredible. And is there like a specific emotional, thematic, like reason behind every color choice or in your work, or like is it very intuitive?
As you can see, I'm very crazy with the blue colors because for me, blue colors like infinity, kind of like diving into this space, this absolute, this potential energy, and this potential energy which has no emotional colors. It's not positive, it's not negative. It just exists, and you just feel this potential, which can become whatever you want. So the blue color for me is something like this.
Yeah,
I
like
don't,
a chameleon. I love it. I love it. I feel like in my work, I also use a lot of blue. Definitely. Yeah. Such a nice color.
and you also have this expressionism style in your painting. Also, emotions are very
Yeah.
important for you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I was going to ask, like, being a Ukrainian and then now living in Berlin, no, I feel like it must bring very, like, interesting dynamics into your art. Like, how does the cultural background influence your approach to figurative impressionism?
It's actually a very interesting question with a lot of layers, I would say. Of course, this huge love to figurative painting appeared, of course, in Ukraine because of our Ukrainian school of painting, let's say so. And yeah, thanks to my professors in academy. And I used to do a lot of topics which connected to Ukraine and to situation in Ukraine. But for now, it doesn't have so much power as before. I would say I start to talk about situation in Ukraine or the topics which exist in my head, in my heart, but from another way, not so directly. I would say every character in my painting has their power, and probably the power which I would like to broadcast in all my paintings. That's the main feature of Ukrainian art in my art career.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I have seen your work and you do a lot of self-portraits. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I know you're used to painting like with models all the time before. Do you still do that right now, or you take pictures and then you use that? What is it about the human body also that it's your passion? I feel like in art school, they teach us a lot about that. And it's such a beautiful like composition. The body's like so beautiful, I think. But yeah, how is it like painting yourself? Is it like a reflection or something?
Yeah, definitely. That's a reflection and pure connection with yourself, with your soul, kind of. I don't know, even 1 hour before our conversation, I was painting a self-portrait, which is absolutely not successful, but still, it's my method of communication with me. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's even not for showing somebody. It's just the ritual kind of when you just more clear to yourself. According to the next part of the question about figurative painting in general, to paint a body in Ukraine, I mean, in kind of traditional art schools, they teach us to paint body just as a beautiful object which should provoke you to some higher meanings, like in Renaissance, kind of. So the body which you paint should be as good as you can make it physically, technically. And then I asked myself questions. Is it really like this for me? For me, body should talk about thoughts, and the position of the body should also talk about inner state of person. And I should say that I'm a huge fan of Lucien Freud and his figurative paintings and his approach to the body. And yeah, I found of my new series of figurative naked people has a huge influence by Lucien Freud and in general topics of making kind of choices which influence on you, and position of the body gives this understandings, let's say so.
That's amazing to really listen, more about your work. And I feel like we know each other, but not really like deep conversations, like this. And I feel like it's very interesting for other artists to listen to these conversations and listen what is your inspiration, your whole background. It's like so beautiful. I feel like so many people are going to have a lot of inspiration from this conversation. And I also wanted to talk, you have had some exhibitions like Diary Pages in Berlin and Revivero in Venice. Could you tell us a little bit about these exhibitions, the themes that you explore in them? What does it mean for you to showcase your work in such a different cities and also in Europe?
So yeah, I had a 2 solo exhibition, one in Venice, one in Berlin last year. I would like to talk more about Diary Pages because it was like just a year ago. And of course, for me in general, exhibitions, it's the way of turn back and understand what you've made during all this time and how does it resonate with the viewers. And sometimes even the new ideas, new approaches, your personal approaches to your works appears during the exhibition. And most of the time, you just work in your atelier with no people, with no viewers, just you're alone. But that 20% of your another parts of your work just showcased your paintings, being very active during the exhibition. That's what I also adore so much. And yeah, probably Diary Pages opened Berlin scene for me. Yeah, and now I'm thinking a lot about and prepare for next one. I hope it happens next year. So
That's amazing.
with a little bit another approach, with a more philosophical approach to the body, what we talked before.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that one. That's amazing. That's so cool. I feel like also, art exhibitions are really important for artists, like seeing your experience and, like just like getting out there. And could you give like an advice to like younger artists? I feel like there's a lot of artists that are like, how do I, how do I get out there? Or like, how do I get seen by galleries? Yeah, like curators and um, in the art scene, the exhibitions in collaboration with other artists, it's also really important. I have to do a solo exhibition. What do you find, yeah, like share maybe an advice, or like, do you find exhibitions in collaboration with other artists give you like other circles?
Definitely, definitely. It's very important not to be only in your bubble with only people whom you know or something. So probably the main advice for everyone who would like to make an exhibition: be ready for all the opportunities. You never know which opportunity will give you so much, which gives you a result, let's say, so result in any branches. Because even a small exhibition somewhere, I don't know, let's start from cafe, or to make even a vernissage in a nice place, to invite people, it's already a huge step forward. So yeah, start from the opportunities which you can touch with not a lot of efforts, and then see what way will bring you next. Yeah, in Berlin, I had a lot of very unexpected proposals to expose my art. And in the beginning, it was very necessary just to know new people, just to start talking about your art, and to have more experience in organize it, writing a text, invite people. Yeah, it's just huge experience. Appears or consists of small steps and small efforts.
Yeah, and I feel like getting out there, like just like not being scared and getting out there, right? Like it seems like, I don't know, I feel like you have such a like bold energy, like you think about something and you do it, like it's so inspiring. I feel like, when we were in the residency, you were the one that was like painting all the time and doing these amazing paintings. And yeah, such a beautiful residency. And talking a little bit about, I was going to ask you something. Wait, I had the question here. Wait. Oh, yeah. So I was going to ask how many exhibitions you try to do, like, like maybe once a month or maybe once every 2 months. Do you have like a goal in your head a little bit, maybe for next year,
To be honest, I don't collect exhibitions. I mean, for me, much more important to have a very clear idea what I'm gonna represent, what topic, and for what, for whom, and what influence it will have. So now I'm focused on one very huge project, huge for me, let's say, because I took this responsibility to be a creator of a group show. Yeah, which I hope to make next year. I really like just to invite people to my studio and to make a small events like open studios, to collaborate with the different ateliers. I mean, I rent my studio in one big house with another artist. We can just collaborate, open my atelier, another atelier, just invite new people and to know each other. And that's what I like in Berlin art scene, because all people are very open, and they of course ready for partying. And partying in the circumstances of art is much more higher way of partying.
Definitely. That's amazing. I feel like open studios are so important. Also, like to even talk about your art. I feel like sometimes as artists, we don't even know. That's like the hard part, like really talk and try to explain your art in words. We can express it so much physically, and then it's so interesting because, I don't know, let's say I go to your studio, to your open studio, and then I'm like waiting for your exhibition, and that's, yeah. And like you say, make this open studio with other artists. Yeah, I feel like open studios are really important, really, really important.
Yeah,
It's
it brings a
nice.
little bit fresh air to your place. You're not alone. You communicate with crowds, so it's important. because art
Definitely.
has this tendency to be like separated. Sometimes it's really important, but sometimes we should be more open.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, like we are stuck in the studio the whole day. We sometimes barely talk to any people. And then when people come to your studio, you have like different ideas. And it's just so interesting, open studios. And how often do you do open studios?
This year, I made two. I mean, before I moved to my atelier, I made open studios, like a small exhibition at home. And the last one was organized not by me. It was an organization from BBK. It's Berlin Organization of Artists for the whole artists of my district. Like, a lot of new people came, a lot of new. I even got to know my neighbors from another studios on my etage. So it was very interesting activity a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. And talking about, so you are studying to be a curator, or you studied?
I studied.
Yeah.
And now I'm just very curious, and I make kind of research in creating history, and in general, art history is my huge love and passion. And in a couple of days, I'm go back to Ukraine, to my hometown, and I'm gonna make a small lecture about contemporary art because I feel like it's time to talk in my city about what is going on in general in life in the world, and how we can bring these new thoughts, new ways of representing art and talk about art in a small city. Let's see. Next week will be
Yeah.
very active, like last week of the year, but very important action for me.
That's amazing. I'll definitely stay tuned to your Instagram and social
Yeah.
media. That's so cool. Well, I hope it goes amazing.
Well,
I feel
thank
like, yeah,
you.
also like opening as an artist, like opening up to different branches in art. It's such a beautiful thing, it really like inspires your art in a different way, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like a part of my big project about which I mentioned 10 minutes ago. I would like to involve businesses, people who are not familiar with art, to art sphere. And I want to give like this hand and to lead these people who are very curious, but they don't know from what to start. So next week will be my first step, first try, and let's see how it will go.
You got this. You got this. It's going to be amazing. And I was going to ask, do you have any plans to do some residencies in the future? Do you want to do a residency in the future, like an art residency?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to, but it's kind of applying for all these open calls. It can be also a little bit exhausted. So I just apply to residencies which are interested to me, but let's see, will it work or not? So sometimes it depends not on me. But yeah, I definitely have such plans, and if somebody wants to invite me, I'll be happy to join.
That's amazing.
What about
That's
you? What's
amazing.
your plans for next year and residencies?
Yeah. I think I might give it a pause for the residencies. I feel
Okay.
like, well, this year I was in Barcelona in a residency, and yeah, it was really beautiful scenery, not compared to Berlin. Very different. I must say, very different. But I feel like definitely would give it a try, another try, or apply to an art residency in the future. But I feel like for now, I want to be, in the studio a little bit more like stable, because I was like moving around so much, and like finally having a studio, and really I felt like a tornado, like coming back home. And no, like it was crazy. Like I kind of like forgot about myself a little, and I was like so much into like producing and stuff. And yeah, and I don't know, like, and then this podcast came, like having conversations with like, I feel like it's so important to have conversations with other artists and really like, connect and network. I feel like it's so important. And yeah, I don't know. But next year, I don't know. I'm just like going with the flow a little, but yeah, I want to do some art exhibitions here too and start moving in Mexico, Yeah. Hopefully in Berlin.
I'm always waiting for you.
I know. We talked about a future exhibition together. Definitely. Oh my gosh, that would be a heck of a combo. Definitely. But yeah, I wanted to talk more about the figurative expressionism. Like, where do you see this style go to, like, in the future? Or like, is there like a practice that you're excited to explore more deeply in the future? Like, you are very like, well, I feel like of what I see, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like very like kind of like collage a little. Like, you put different elements from different sizes and, kind of like transparencies and yeah, is there anything, you're excited to explore, or how do you see this style like evolve?
Of course, I would like to be more involved into experiments, but I can't. I really can't plan it. So it just goes, and that's it. I even don't know how to answer to this question because this month I was so into a lecture about what I told you and about another management stuff. So I wasn't very active in studio, to be honest. So probably I'm focused on just let my painting go as it's in the most honest way. Yeah, of course, I try to experiment a little bit, especially with the topics, which fascinates me. So mostly it's not about style, it's more about topics, about finding your language and this line between your heart and what you can produce. Yeah, sometimes I feel like producing something, it's choosing the right puzzle which you collected before. I feel like I always have this huge bag where I just put something, put, and in the very right moment, a couple of puzzles find themselves. So yeah, such
I
kind
love
of
that.
answer. Mhm.
Yeah. Such a beautiful way to, put it, and put it in a different way, because I feel like a lot of artists, me myself, like, I focus so much in this style, and maybe at the end I put the topic on,
Mm.
or maybe I have a line, but, yeah, that's so interesting, huh? That's so, so interesting. I'll
And I
take that
understand.
information.
Yeah, and I understand that everyone has their own approach, which brilliantly works just for the person. And this it's not possible to take experience by somebody and bring completely to your life, to your art process. So it's very, very unique and very honest way to yourself, first of all.
Yeah, definitely. Talking a little bit about, that you studied curator, to be a
Mhm.
curator, and how did that impact like your way to see your work? I feel like maybe you had a different side that maybe you didn't had in like your art career, like in your when you studied fine arts, but how did it impact like, the text, the way that you were gonna
Mhm.
instalize stuff and all of that? Like, do you feel like now you produce in a different way because of it?
Kind of yes, because I understood that that's a mix of everything. I started to think more about the space where I represent my art and about influence of the space and what influence I want to show the viewers. And I started to explore spaces and to know it for myself. And I even this year. I even started to write an articles for one contemporary magazine. Um, yeah, mostly it gives me more understanding how galleries, museums, art spaces work and what buttons button when we organize the exhibition. So it's like I have the factors which influence to the whole atmosphere during the exhibition. It's like a show, like a state which you produce beside of your art. So it's like more huge understanding of what is going on around. And I always ask myself a question: is it enough just an art or not? Or what kind of influence I want to make? Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I want to know more about this magazine article. Tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
if
So
you want, of course.
this summer, one of my close friends came to Berlin, and she's a performance artist, and she's a nude model. And we organized a small nude painting sessions, and after which she spontaneously connected me with their friends from Tel Aviv, and who are also involved in art, and they're into photography, mostly in tattooing, and they explore art from different perspectives. And at one point, they invited me to write a couple of articles about like different topics, mostly about also about a representation of the space. It's back to the topic of creating, and yeah, for me personally, it's very very nice experience to put my thoughts into words, yeah, in the most clear way for people who read it.
Yeah. Also, I feel like, yeah, like how you say, like sometimes us as artists, we cannot convert, like the meaning of our art into words. And that's so interesting that you're, exploring that side in more like word text wise. That's so interesting.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's provoked to research first of all, and inner and world research.
yeah, definitely. And do you feel like, well, right now, I know you moved into a different studio. Do you try to go to the studio every day, or like, do you try to paint every day? How does your day-to-day look, as an artist?
Now I don't push myself too much, to be honest, because during my academy time, I had to work more than 6 hours a day. Now I wait for a right time. I mean, for a right idea, for a right feeling, and then I start a work. Of course, time to time, I had such days when I just want to experiment something or just feel the color physically, and that's it. But yeah, I mean, I have another project, so let's say I'm in the studio 4 days in a week, something like this.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, like not pushing and just like going with the flow, definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to make this question to everybody that I interview. So, what is something that you cannot live long without?
Of course, painting. Of course, painting.
Painting.
Of
Yeah?
course. Yes, even be painting without a topic, only painting, just feeling of the painting, feeling like how brush, this vibration from the brush, from the color, from the pencil. Especially now, like last month, I was too focused into research, into preparing the lecture. Just felt like, oh my god, I lose something, and I couldn't understand what I lose, because I wasn't very active in my studio. And then I just started to paint at least something. I was like, yes, this is the fresh air for myself, for me.
Yeah, the medicine for your soul, definitely.
Yeah,
That's so
definitely the
beautiful.
right word.
So nice. What advice would you give to younger artists that are starting, or would you like to know when you were younger?
Art, words, it's a huge fight, and you should be ready to be to wait, be more kind to yourself, but at the same time being ready to not to give up, because a world and the circumstances will really provoke you to give up all this way of art life, and the world always will test you. Are you really want it or not, or is it enough or not? Also provoking with the money a lot. So you definitely should be ready for this, because
Yeah,
if you truly can't live without it, so be honest with yourself and with your desires, and
yeah,
protect them, kind of.
that's such a beautiful advice. Also for me,
Patient is hard task, especially for young people.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Is there something else you want to share? We're about to conclude the podcast.
I can just a little bit show you my studio, just a little.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just very grateful that you invited me and that we had such a nice conversation. And Yeah, I'm just waiting you in Berlin. Maybe we'll see each other in Mexico. Who knows? Who knows? And I just really feel like that since such a long time we are still in contact, and I find your energy and your approach to art very familiar to mine. So we'll definitely make something more together next year. I hope so.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you
Olga,
too.
that has been like a fascinating conversation. You know, your ability to capture this essence of human emotion through your figurative work, it's like truly inspiring. And I feel like I have seen and you have seen also kind of my evolution. You know, we both have
Yes.
seen like how we have grown through the time. And it's such a beautiful and inspiring thing. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and your creative process with us today. And yeah, we'll stay in touch definitely. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for watching. Check out Olha's amazing work and stay connected. Thanks for tuning in into Color Me Crazy and follow us for more content like this. I'll see you around.